Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch. I can't even say that out loud. Oh, hey, what's up? We're warming up the stream pipes here, just flushing them out. You know, I normally start on the IG live and then I come to the rest of you. I'm like, that's not fair. You're special too. So why don't I bring it to everywhere else first? I also want to test out and see if these streams really light up. You know, sometimes I try to fire these things up and they don't all work. So I'm going to just check out what's happening and see who's not with me right now. Online. My personal Facebook page is maybe not live. But everybody else is here. So what's up? YouTube and LinkedIn, it seems. And Shalitha's back. Hello, Shalitha. Good to see you. Good to see you. And let's go ahead and fire up the IG because they give me my grab bag. Live on lockdown. Ep 41. Phew. That's the episode title. I'm giving this joint. Crossing device pasting. Add the title and go. All right, so that's happening. My computer's freaking out with the processor fan. That happens too. So look, before they get here, it's just me and you, right? And hi. Nice to sort of see you. We've got some things going up, but let me start saying hi to y'all first because I always say hi to the IG people first, and that's not right. Hawaii, Cindy, hello. Cindy, 33 days. You put the countdown in your username, and it's already a wrap. I'm going to tell the IG Live people when they show up, they don't know. What's up, y'all? They don't know. But my favorite username is coming from Periscope. That's literally never happened before. It's Cindy number 33 days because Cindy put the countdown to the election deadline, not really election day, in the username handle. I see you, Tom. I see you, John. I see you, Demetrius. Yo, that's a dope name. Demetrius. Very Greco. Let's see. Hello, Eve. Hello, Michael Blanchard. And remember Okay. So we're in it. We're on. I always like to have the warm up going, but you know, not too long. Previously on Live on Lockdown, your boy, that would be me, left the stream running. And I mean running. So this show is about an hour because that was determined by the Instagram Live early on where I kind of started doing this. And last week I was on fire. It was like poetry in motion. I mean, if you were there, you know, and I haven't put out most of the clips. You had to kind of be there. And some of those clips, I don't know if they stand the test of time. I was very angry and I don't know if I want to permanently establish that. But point being, I like gently laid down the microphone. This mic is way too expensive to drop. I gently laid down the microphone, cut the lights and walked off. Except I left the stream running. I thought in my software I pressed stop and I did, but then it's like, are you sure? And I didn't confirm. It's like a double opt out or something. So I just went about my evening. You know what I'm saying? Like I just watched some stuff on the Netflix. I chilled. I kept doing a little sippy sip. And then I checked my community text message number, 202-894-8844. You could text me there as long as probably you have to be in North America for it to work. But I'll give it a shot. Maybe they opened it up. And I, check in there every now and then. Actually, every day. Every day I check it. And Melanie Jones was like, yo, you're still going. And I thought she meant it metaphorically. Like, you have so much energy. You're still going. And she's like, no, your stream is still up. It's just like darkness. And I was ready to go to bed. Like, it's one of those things where like the phone, you just check the phone for one last dopamine hit from, the freaking psychological hacks that are involved in social media. And you're not supposed to keep your phone next to your bed. But come on now, it's COVID. And so I'm like, I'm just one more digital social interaction. And she's like, your stream is still going. And my first thought was like, I just ruined my hard drive. I'm like, if this thing, y'all know my camera is like hot, right? Like I crush all the zooms with this camera. We're running on a Blackmagic 6K. We're not messing around. I don't have the Sony lens. I mean, I am decently enabled financially, but not Sony lens enabled, not, who's the other one? Canon, my bad. Canon's the lens. Couldn't afford the Canon lens. I sprung for the Sigma. All right, I'm letting you in on little secrets. And I know the size of the files that this camera generates. And the way I was streaming, it was just recording straight to my computer hard drive. And I was doing math and I was like, I think I have like 1 megabyte left on my poor MacBook Pro, my baby. I ran out to come back to the shed and I just expected my computer to be like on smoky flame. Like I was going to start the next wildfire because I left the joint streaming. And fortunately, it did not happen. I had actually cut the recording on the camera itself off, which was good. And it did create a giant file on the hard drive, but not as bad, I guess, because there was no data in it. It was just an empty ass room. But it's still on my Facebook page. If you just want, people be putting these things on YouTube and it's just like 6 hours of Starbucks music. So if you just want like 1 hour, 15 minutes of improvised, pseudo-poetic, hot fire political commentary and occasional comedy, followed by 4.5 hours of nothing. Just zen and the art of motorcycle. We're not even maintaining the motorcycle. There was not a whisper, not a nothing. If you just want to be alone in my room in the dark, then go hit that previous stream. It didn't hit YouTube for some reason. My YouTube stream busted last week, but it's on my Facebook page and I haven't deleted it. And I'm just going to call it artistic. I'm going to call it performance art. So that was, literally the longest live on lockdown ever. Thank you, Melanie Jones, because I do believe if that had run all night, I might have had to get a new computer because I don't even know. Sometimes you jam up your hard drive so bad that it just stops. It goes on strike like it's French. And it's just like, I don't know why you bothering me. I did my job and you neglected me and I have labor rights. So I am not working. Like I'm not American. I have dignity. That's what my hard drive, and I'd be like, come on, little hard drive. We could work something out. And the hard drive's like, no. I sent you a warning. You ignored me. It would start speaking with a French accent, and I just could not handle that. So Melanie, you saved me because I'm not in a position to go to there's no Genius bars. I don't even know how you rescue a hard drive with like 1 megabyte left. I spent way more time on that than possible. So let me do a little check and see how y'all doing. Hello, Montry75, welcome. Thank you for being here. Good to see you as usual. That is a reminder that this is actually happening. Mishak, I see you. Stacy, hello, friend. And Curious Button. Love that. Lot of universes colliding here. Make Good Together is here. Check them out. I'm waving. Wave back, Make Good Together. Say what's up to the people. That's on the IG live stream, doing good work. Oh, wow. There's like a lot of names. Robin Clouds in the house. That almost rhymed. And that was super corny. But whatever. I'm free-ish. And okay. So we caught up on there. Didn't miss anything dramatic on my IG live. If you want me to talk about something, hit that question mark, leave it in the grab bag, and I will try to get to it. And here's what's on the agenda tonight. It's just so it's not last week. Like I'm kind of spent. It's been somebody, I put up the question bag a little earlier today on my IG story, and somebody was like, it's not like there's anything that happened this week, so I have no idea what you would talk about. It's been pretty quiet around here. So I want to start off with my feelizations. Throw your hands up if you feelize some things this week. If you know what I'm talking about with the feelization. I dropped this video yesterday morning. Very quiet. Not my typical energetic boost. One, it was morning. Two, it was the morning after the presidential assault. And which one? I know so many to choose from. But the alleged debate. And thank you for those who watched that and spread it. There was no strategy in there. That was just my heart and a little bit of my mind. And I stumbled into a new word, a combination of feel and realize. So feelize. And I'm feeling feelize. So I've gotten a lot of messages from multiple places from y'all being all up in your feelizations. And I appreciate that. And if we can make fun and joy out of a painful, inglorious moment that we're living in right now. So thanks for that. And I like I said, that video has traveled in a way that I did not expect, and is reaching some different corners. And then I want to talk about Brian Williams real quick, because I know some of you are new to me tonight because of my appearance on the 11th hour last night, almost exactly 24 hours ago. They let me back on the telly. When they gonna learn? You can't let this dude just talk his mind on TV. That's crazy. But they did. Brian Williams had me back. We had a couple months of break. Let me recharge, figure out what else I want to say. And I was on with Stephen Greenblatt. I think his first name is Stephen, from the Anti-Defamation League. And we were talking about the Proud Boys and the white supremacists and political violence. And I was in a zone of trying to communicate something that felt very important. I chose my words very carefully. If you listen to me regularly, what I said on that show last night wasn't a surprise. It wasn't exactly new, but it was a little more, you update your targeting system over time to try to make more sense. And I truly do believe that it is un-American, unpatriotic, undemocratic to start talking about raising up arms in response to an election result you don't like. So if you know people who are leaning that way and you have some kind of loving access to them, I wouldn't recommend taunting them. But I would say if you can find a way to bring them to the point of view of what it is you actually think you love about this country, and maybe lean into that, the founding documents and the belief in the system and the fact that we have other elections. And I have an inviting version of that message, and I'm trying that out right now. I had a very vindictive version of that message, which some of you heard last week. I'm not going to repeat it because I'm not in that place right now. So, but a lot of you heard that, and you don't get to bring a gun to a ballot box. It was not a planned one-lining statement, but that sort of sums up my thought on it. You are opting out of democracy when you talk about bringing a gun literally in result to, or specifically actually to the site of an election. You're missing the whole point. And and that goes for everybody. I mean, we know who's doing it more, but there's unhinged and violent people that come from a number of perspectives, and I'm not down for any of it. So thank you to Brian Williams' people for putting you in my view, and welcome to the community, welcome to the world. This version of it, there's many worlds. And again, that text message phone number, 202-894-8844. I also usually bury the lead on the podcast that I do. I will not do that tonight. I've been making this podcast. We dropped our 8th episode today, 7th and 8th this week. We dropped 2 episodes this week because there's that much going on. It's not a current event show, but it is a show for this moment and beyond. It's called How to Citizen with Baratunde. And I feel really excited about the episode that we dropped today because I think it is one that is designed for the way many of us feel right now, which is like exhausted, dejected, furious, and a little hopeless. And this was all about youth and young people. And some of you know how I feel about young people. We should not be putting the weight of our pre-generational mistakes on them and having us rescue us from our mess. And I'm not even that old. I'm not trying to own the mess like some generations. Boomers, greatest generation. But, we all have some complicity in the problems of the world right now. I think it's ridiculous to put it on children exclusively. So, this episode, we're talking to a group called Civics Unplugged. We have one of the founders, this dude, Josh Thompson, and one of the youth leaders, the 17-year-old Zoe Jenkins from Kentucky, who's on the steering committee. They got a steering committee of high schoolers. The whole crew is just high schoolers. Not just, they are but of limited age, but unlimited wisdom and energy and perspective and realness. And I left that session so invigorated, rejuvenated, a bit more hopeful to let the kids lead. Is why it's honestly one of the strongest reasons that I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary, because a lot of these problems are not for the 40 plus or 50 plus or 60 plus crowd in terms of their major impact. They're not going to be felt until the people who are 8 years old, 18 years old, not yet born, are of age. And if these kids are screaming Green New Deal and get your stuff together, maybe we should listen. And by maybe, I mean definitely. So it was a real honor to have the folks of Civics Unplugged on. You should find them on Instagram, everywhere else. And mostly check out the episode and do the assignment, because it's some very empowering activities we're asking you to do with the young people in your lives, whether you have children or not. And I don't have children, but I have young people in my life as well. So yeah, that's the sponsorship message. I see the bag is filling up a little bit on IG Live, but I want to do two more things before I start in on some of the interaction. One, I want to acknowledge people who do not live in the United States, and thank you. In the past 24 hours, I've gotten a number of messages, and I want to share something with you. I didn't ask people's permission to put all their business out there, so I'm not going to read the name. You won't be able to guess who it's from, so I'll just try to protect that. But this is... there's three messages, give you kind of a heads up. First, I'm so sorry you and other sane Americans are in such pain. Baratunde. There's a dramatic comma, according to my reading. We are not in a great position here in the UK ourselves, to be honest. I know, right? Bojo, what? But the degree of toxicity, narcissism, corruption, hate, and cruelty seems less at the moment. That's a very refined and specific list of grievances. Toxicity, narcissism, corruption, hate, and cruelty. Seems less at the moment. I've had amazing times in the US and have great friends there. We are wishing you all the strength, luck, and love on excising the foul pollution and putrid contamination of the malignancy in the White House, his enablers, and parasites. Heart emoji. Followed by phone drop. What a mess. I mean, the beauty of getting correspondence from the UK, it was their language first, and they know how to wield it. My goodness. The excising the foul pollution and putrid contamination of the malignancy in the White House, his enablers, and parasites. That's a little bit more the preacher vibe, which I'm sure it was not sent with. But, you know, the consumer of art has a right to interpret it. So thank you, all United Kingdom. I assume that you speak for everyone in all the countries inside your country. I'll come back to that in a minute. Then we got another message here, number 2 of 3. I just watched your video on the debate. I am so sorry, but I try to avoid a lot of American news. Emoji Canada flag, as it is always so deeply disturbing. If I wasn't laughing right now, I'd be bawling. That's hilarious. And so true. It's funny because it's true. However, some filters my way. I just have an image of a Canadian like setting up a barricade of like mousse and maple syrup and just trying to protect themselves like this sort of membrane to avoid the always so deeply disturbing American news. However, some filters my way. I just wanted to say that in my little town in BC, British Columbia, we have nothing but compassion for your country. We see things that appall us, and that's not because we are without our own problems. We get scared for you and with you. We, like you, we hope for a mass turnout at the polls. I wish you health, safety, and peace. And again, I just want to thank our Canadian family and this person who clearly speaks for all of the great residents and citizens of Canada. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. And the third and final message that I'll share. is an email. Remember email? That interoperable messaging platform that Mark Zuckerberg's trying to recreate by trying to dodge the regulatory intent of what's left of the federal government by merging, whatever. Anyway, all this has happened before, will happen again. Long live Battlestar Galactica. An email. Kia ora from New Zealand. I'm going to butcher this, but New Zealand, Aotearoa, perhaps. I am watching in horror as your election goes ahead in its awful glory. How come everybody's better at English than Americans? This is awful glory? Come on. Is everybody a songwriter outside of this nation? Is everybody a poet laureate in the British colonies? Except ours? I am scared for America. I am scared for all my lovely friends who live in America. I have had the privilege of sailing the world with some of the most beautiful Americans, and that is why I am so sad and distraught about the direction of your country. You have so many good people there, but yet so many hideous, racist people. I mean this with love. This is like the way the current president started his campaign. Like it's a version of that, but like a loving instead of a hate-filled, spiteful version. And some of them I assume are good people. I got to read that again. You have so many good people there, but yet so many hideous, racist people. The world is watching. We really are. What happens to you happens to the rest of us, and we are scared. Nga mihi nui, signed name. So again, I want to thank that Kiwi for speaking on behalf of all New Zealanders. I appreciate you. And I'm speaking on behalf of all residents of the United States. So in this four-way former British colonial conversation, my English language overseas or over border friends, I really appreciate that. It's nice to feel less alone and to know that we inside the borders of this country are not crazy, because there is this attempt to gaslight us into thinking that none of this is happening. It's not that bad. The current president, or at least he tells it like it is. I'd rather face the devil. It's just there's a lot going on. And we know that this is not right. What we're in right now is just wrong. It's childish and it's petty and it's ugly and it's cruel and it's wasteful and it's incompetent and it's illegal. A lot of it's just illegal. And so I just like knowing that other people are seeing this too and bringing just the most competent linguistic skills to the game. Can you get a Pulitzer for a direct message on Instagram? Because I want to nominate 2 Instagram DMs and 1 email for a Pulitzer. That stuff was amazing. So there was that. And then before I check fully in with you, I haven't repped COVID in a minute. And so I just want to do, this show started with the pandemic. And I want to talk about what's up with the pandemic right now. And at every opportunity, I'm going to recommend that you listen to Dr. Michael Osterholm, who has a show called the Osterholm Update, Osterholm. He's out of Minnesota. He's a classic, humble, understated Midwestern man, which is exactly the right energy to bring to a crazy, freakishly, deadly, confusing, paranoia-making global pandemic. Like, you want that. I'm out working the grill. Everything's going to be fine. Got my hands on fire, but I have, good Lord gave me another hand. So why don't we flip those burgers with the other hand and then just give me a bucket of ice to put my torched appendage in. So Michael Osterholm is like cool cucumber under fire. And I will not repeat the whole podcast because that would do a disservice to like science. But I'm going to give you some headlines and they're sobering. And I trust this person because he's just been right the whole time. And when he's not right, he admits and acknowledges it. And this is a time of such doubt and such misinformation and such confusion and such valid fear mixed in with all that, plus intentional funded disinformation by companies, or more specifically governments, that love to destabilize us right now, that it's just a mess out there. And in that mess, in that tumultuous sea of noise and nonsense, Dr. Michael Osterholm is a lighthouse, and it's very steady. So if that's not an endorsement enough, I don't know how to get you to listen to a podcast. If that doesn't work, then you're just not into like information. Subscribe, okay? But here's what he said in the current one. Things in the United States are about to get a lot worse. In the first round of what we called the first wave that never ended, we freaked out at 32,000 cases a day. And then we saw it could get a lot worse. In the summer, post-Memorial Day, 67,000 cases a day. He expects that to be exceeded this fall. And that's not good. Now, our mortality rate has declined. We've gotten a lot better at dealing with stuff. ICU people and our frontline healthcare workers have learned from each other and are working their butts off. And so it's not quite as deadly, but it is still no less devastating to our mental health, to our economy, to our actual health. Long term, there's still a lot of stuff we don't know. So I just want prepare yourself. He's expecting late October, early November, that we will be in the throes of a much bigger stress of COVID on our system, on our healthcare system. There's already hospitals, again, running up against their capacity in certain parts. And the number that you want to keep an eye on, and it's the Harvard ethics crew that I've worked with before and have cited a lot, they have it up. If you probably just go to like Harvard ethics, you'll find it. I don't remember the URL. That's why we have search engines. But it's the, cases per 100,000 on a 7-day rolling average. I know, it just rolls off the tongue, right? But once you know it's per 100,000 cases on a rolling 7-day average, you want that number to be mad low, like 1. New York City was holding at 1 for a while. They're up at 3. That's not great, but it's still manageable. Some pockets of the city were up at 8. That's not so good. North Dakota's at 40. 40. The United Kingdom is talking about going into a more significant lockdown, and I think their number's around 10. Somebody should fact check me, but it's in that range. So and the U.S. overall is 12 to 20. I should probably look that up. So don't cite me on that, but it's going to get worse. And that's just a metric to look at amidst all the noise. He, understood a lot of the confusion around this and the anger at the lockdowns, but COVID doesn't care. COVID doesn't care if we're fatigued. COVID doesn't care if we think we're young, and it won't affect us. It's coming. And the most significant thing is it was just straight up math. The idea of herd immunity is, this virus wants to burn every human in sight. It's, let's use a forest fire metaphor. Fire finds wood, wood goes boom. Welcome to science class. Today's topic, wildfires. Fire finds wood, wood goes boom. And humans are the wood. And COVID-19 is the fire. And the only way that we stop this fire is not actually stopping the fire. It is preventing it from being able to affect more wood. And you do that by achieving a level of herd immunity. And that has multiple pathways to it. The most irresponsible way is to do nothing and just let the virus have its way with your people. That's an abdication of government responsibility. It would wreak massive havoc. It would kill a lot of folks unnecessarily, cripple every economy for a very long amount of time. It is not a good idea. It is a logical but extremely irresponsible way to get to the other side of this virus. Because basically when there's no more wood to burn, fire dies out. And that starts to happen at 50 to 70% of the population being unburnable, essentially. So you're unburnable if you're already burnt. And you just hope you get it. And that's not a good idea. But from a purely mathematical perspective, herd immunity means 50 to 70%. And it doesn't mean the virus is just gone. It just means it moves more slowly. It's harder to find a fresh tree because so many trees have already been burnt. The other way is through vaccine. And what you want is an effective vaccine that essentially prevents the virus from infecting you, and you become unburnable in that way. And the way the vaccine game works is you have an effectiveness rate. Is no 100% effective vaccine. There are some very high ones, but the way we're moving so fast on this, they're expecting 50 to 70% effectiveness. All right, so 50 to 70% effectiveness. And that is if everybody takes it. So you could get herd immunity through a vaccine if everybody took it, and it's on the upper end of that 50 to 70% effectiveness. But again, you get half the population is already unburnable. That's going to really slow this thing down. 70%, a much better number. So who's already had it, right? Who is unburnable because they've been infected, and we still don't know about reinfection. It's kind of a nuanced thing, but it doesn't seem like it's common, even though it's very possible. 10%, that's the number. As an estimate in the United States, maybe 10%, could be 7, could be 12, but 10% is a solidly grounded estimate of what we're at. With just 10%, look at the havoc that's been wreaked with letting people get infected. That's the infected, that's the unburnable through infection. So if you just let this thing go wild and naturally reach 50 to 70%, you want 5 to 7 times what we've just been through? That's really painful. So you don't want to achieve the herd immunity through just letting the infection loose if the 10% is what got us here. So you hope for the vaccine to cover the rest. Now here's the problem. We're moving real fast. We have a president / commander in chief, or at least a person playing that role, who has so muddied the waters on science and faith in, attempted to, and in some cases succeeded in reducing faith in our public health officials. We have public health officials across the country literally being threatened, having to hide their home addresses because folks are showing up to do them bodily harm because they're mad. And some of them are mad because their livelihoods have been wrecked, and it's understandable. Some of them are mad because they have been tricked due to rabbit holes of misinformation online into thinking something is true that is not. Whatever the reasons, a third to a half of people in the United States are unwilling to take a vaccine. So that 50 to 70% effective rate of a vaccine just got cut in half because fools don't want to take it. And I'm not even judging it. I'm just sharing with you. This is information. All right. So we have a 10% base of unburnable wood of already infected people who are unlikely to get reinfected. We're trying to get to 50 to 70%. If everybody took the vaccine, we could just sit that vaccine right on top and we'd be there. It would take time, but we could do it. But now we're playing games because folks don't believe in science because maybe in part an entire political party decided to opt out of science too, which hurts all of us. So instead of 50 to 70%, it becomes 25 to 35% on top of 10. Right? I should have whiteboarded this. I need some beautiful mind graphics. Maybe next time I'll use the whiteboard. I didn't know I was going to get into this. So that's not good. That's still below 50. After all that, we would still not have herd immunity. So Osterholm's point is we in for it. We're in this for a while. And, don't plan on normal being back right away. I think it seems like all of next year, we're just going to be like this year. It's not like a year from now, everything's going to be reopened and we get to hug strangers inside of a musty basement again. Not that was a great idea, but it sounds amazing right now. So sorry, not sorry. I feel like if you're gathered here, I want to share that information. I'm not sure if you would get it otherwise. Again, Michael Osterholm says it better. That was sort of a attempted recap of some of the key takeaways from that. Okay, let's talk about what you want to talk about. Yeah. Okay. A lot of chatter. My goodness, hard to keep up. But I see. Yeah. Think of another. Yeah, someone just on the COVID thing, Duke Harjo adds, 50% will be 160 million people infected in the U.S. I kind of want to return to that comparison. We've gotten lost in the numbers and we lost the humanity of this a little bit. But just focusing on the impact, 10% had got us to the point where our healthcare system was on the brink of collapse in many cities, where frontline healthcare workers are committing suicide, breaking down, where people are dying alone and seeing their loved ones through FaceTime. So again, mathematically speaking, you could get to herd immunity by letting this thing run amok, but you would break your whole society. And for what? You know, like you've achieved technical herd immunity and then you've murdered a bunch of people and broken your healthcare system and your economy. Permanently? How long would it take to rebuild the whole? I mean, it's literally madness. Like it is not. So anyone you're hearing like talk about herd immunity as the path forward, they are so wrong. They are so wrong and they're irresponsible. They maybe don't know what they're talking about, or they're intentionally misleading you. Whatever the case, they're wrong, and you need to find another source of information. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a medical practitioner, but I trust one who is. And this dude has served Democratic presidents and Republican presidents. He's literally called a disease detective. He's like the virus hunter. He's Blade for viruses. I mean, he probably got swords and everything. So, and he's a representative of a larger community which believes as he does. He's not like some outlier. And while we're in this place where we sadly are questioning our own CDC because of the pressure they've been put under, I'm not listening to Redfield, who runs CDC, in the same way I'm listening to Osterholm. He has no political pressure. And that's a really sad thing to say. It's a casualty, of this era. Whatever happens in this election, whoever we think wins, we all are still playing a losing hand in terms of the damage that's been done to our institutions, to our faith in each other, to our faith in like basic information. And COVID, again, doesn't care. It doesn't care who the president is. It doesn't care who's in the cabinet. It doesn't care how you vote. It doesn't care what God you worship. It's coming. It's coming. It's fire in the forest, and you're wood. We all are. So let's stay on it. It's exhausting. I'm exhausted. I miss people. I miss insides of other rooms besides this one a lot. Like other rooms are great. Other buildings, different color paint. Maybe I'll paint the room, and that's how I'll experience a different building. But we got to hang in there. It's still not World War II. It's not World War One. It's devastating, but actually in some cases it's worse. We lost. Sorry. Oh, this is just bad. I'm gonna dig out of this, but I gotta keep it real. We lost. How many people in World War One? The United States lost 116,000, I believe, is the number. So we already passed World War One. Vietnam, we lost 58,000. That was over a 20-year period. And we already cleared that in 9 months. World War II, we lost 440,000. So we're like halfway to World War II. And we still got Nazis. Like at least World War II, we defeated Nazis. Now we got more Nazis than ever. So it's just not good. This is not good. Keep your masks up. Avoid large indoor gatherings. Stay safe. Don't go intermixing across divides that you don't have to. Let's protect our vulnerable people. Let's do the shared sacrifice thing that many of us know will help us all, even though our major leader is doing everything he can to lead to as many deaths as possible. Through neglect or malintent, it at this stage doesn't matter. It is what it is. Okay, now I'll check in with you. I see some questions. Helen Odia on IG says, do you speak Yoruba? God bless you for doing what you do. Appreciate that. I do not. My name is borrowed from Yoruba, but I am not actually Yoruba. I'm not born nor raised in Nigeria. Though according to 23andMe, I have some genetic links to the region, so that helps a little bit. But thank you for the question. And let me check the people who bothered to put stuff in the box, which reminds me, do I have an update for you? We always come into these wondering, like, are we gonna get the update on the story? Nope. Okay. I'll keep checking for an update on that story. We gonna talk about, let's see. Ooh, got some heavy stuff in the bag, y'all. Your thoughts on the potential for a full-on civil war. I'm not gonna take that one right now. I don't know if I have the energy to talk about that. Um, but let's do some TV talk. Let's have some fun. Curious Button asks, "Are you watching Lovecraft Country? Thoughts?" And short answer, I am not. I have no thoughts. Thank you, Curious Button, for your question. But I assume the people who are here with us are watching it, and so that y'all should like talk about it for a second without spoiling it. I haven't gotten to it yet. I think, is that a horror show? I think I might have seen a trailer or a poster or saw the word Jordan Peele, and I was like, he scares me. I don't need to be scared right now. I still haven't watched Us. So if it's in the category of things that are going to scare you, I don't need that. And I'll just have to revisit it at another time. In fact, the show I'm watching right now, which is saving my mental life. Are you ready for it? Drum roll. Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso. Oh my God, I didn't know I could love a show so much. I haven't been so excited about a show with like sport that I don't play and a whole culture I'm not really connected to since Friday Night Lights. Ted Lasso is Friday Night Lights in the United Kingdom. Oh, it's good. It's got just the mix of stuff I love. It's corny and heartfelt and warming and funny. And the episodes are very tight. Whoever wrote this, well, I know someone who wrote it. Jason Sudeikis is a star, and it seems like he wrote a bunch of it. But that whole team, I hope they get award stuff. Are we still doing awards? I don't know. Do we still give out awards for TV stuff? If we do that again, Ted Lasso should be a contender. I'm loving that. And what else am I watching? Upload. I'm watching Upload on Amazon Prime. As they crafted that world, it's well, first, let me go back to Ted Lasso for a second. It is the story of a football club, as in soccer in American, but a football club in the United Kingdom that gets a new coach who doesn't know anything about English football because he's an American football coach, but he like took a team from nothing to championship in Division II in the U.S., so he bounces across the pond to coach his team. I love it. I will defend it. If there's any haters of it, don't just keep it to yourself. I'm gonna declare this a Ted Lasso love zone, which is something Ted Lasso would do. He would totally do that. Oh, I kind of want to hang out with Ted Lasso. America needs Ted Lasso right now. I mean, Biden, Harris, cool team. We just need a cabinet position for Ted Lasso, Ministry of Coaching. We also don't have ministers. We should have ministers. Secretaries. Secretary of Good Vibes. He's amazing. And he's nothing like Coach Taylor, but he's everything like Coach Taylor. Oh, I miss me some Tammy Taylor. I miss Coach Taylor. I miss Saracen. I miss Smash Williams. Oh, Friday Night Lights. What a show. What a show. All right. Nostalgia ending. The other thing, Upload is set in a VR universe, kind of a virtual world where after you die, you get uploaded. So people's like, oh, you go to heaven after you die? Which one? Like, really good comedy. And the way they designed the world, I find very interesting. So those are the two fictional universes I'm living in right now, other than the United States of America, which is the third show that I'm super immersed in. Quite a nail biter, am I right? And some of the wildest characters you've ever seen. I don't know who's writing this, but they are killing us. Literally, we're dying. So that'd be the third series. And yeah, I guess I will. One last thing I've been watching or watched once, but The Social Dilemma, this Netflix documentary about social media. And some of y'all were asking about that last week, and I think I saw some questions about it this week. So I think you should watch it. It is a fine length of time. They used an editor, which is this new invention that some filmmakers seem to be allergic to, and they release like movies over 3 hours long, like we don't have other things to do. So I appreciate any sub 2 hour cinematic experience. Thank you, editors of The Social Dilemma. I'll start with the positives. They are taking a message about the risks of technology and network technology and social media to a much broader scale, and we need that. They did some two creative choices in the series I really liked. One is They had dramatizations and the sort of fictionalized characters to give some narrative structure to what could be a very academic conversation. So they have this family that is sort of the parallel family where all these consequences of social media play out as they're interviewing the people who invented and got rich off of all this stuff and then decided it was a problem. So that's one thing. And then they use an animation technique to describe how these companies see us and use us and extract value from us in terms of explaining the technicals of how ad tech and algorithms work to monetize us, to mine us. And it's the best representation of what that industry has done, of how Facebook operates that I've ever seen. And it's so hard to make this stuff visual. And I think they came up with something really novel, really beautiful, and really, really, really scary. So if you want to be scared, look at the nonfiction programming called The Social Dilemma. And then if you want to be scared on top of scared, I guess check out Lovecraft Country. The criticism, you may have come across it. If not, there's not a lot of diversity or critical voices that didn't create the problem in the film. And it's a lot of white dudes, a lot of very wealthy white dudes who made all this stuff happen. And then we're like, I guess this is bad. I don't let my own kids use it. So I appreciate them wrestling with the monster that they helped create. I've been in this space for a very long time, and I'm not even the oldest. But when I wrote for Fast Company, 3 years, I had a column, back page column. I was talking about all this stuff. I was doing all these, speaking at South by Southwest about this. And I came to it after Dana Boyd came to it and Sophia Noble. And there's just a lot of people who never fully swallowed the BS and were calling out this stuff so long ago. I was literally in the room when Dana Boyd says to Mark Zuckerberg, this stuff that we all take as common criticism now. And the film didn't acknowledge that. And it made it seem like these dudes just independently came to it. And I don't think that's accurate. And so you shouldn't get a ton of credit for that when there's people who've been like shaking you and meeting with you and counseling you to be best, to be better. Okay. So not great, not a great look. And then the other piece of that is their solutions in the end are meager. They're weak. They built this whole case about it's a huge collective challenge to face off against these trillion-dollar companies. And then only during the credits, they try to give you a little bit of hope. And they're like, turn off your notifications. We're beyond just say no individual action stuff. We need collective action. We need government action. And it's disingenuous for these companies to call for government regulation when they've been fighting it with all their lobbyists and lawyers for a generation. You can't have it both ways, people. So those are my thoughts on The Social Dilemma. But again, I think there is great value to it. So don't like boycott it or something. Just go in with your eyes open. It's basically the Fire Festival film for technology. That's it. That's what you should put on the IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. What else is in the bag? Ooh, I don't know. I have so many non-answers to some of these questions. Ooh, this is breaking news through the question box. From Dominican Vegan Boy. Oh, there's a username. There's a whole story there. I'd love to know what that's all about. Well, it actually says it right there. Dominican Vegan Boy. It's got a whole story right in there. Have you heard about Hope Hicks testing positive for Rona? No, I haven't heard about that. And I probably shouldn't have read it out loud before verifying it. Hold on. Hope Hicks coronavirus. Let's see. Is this true? Close Trump advisor Hope Hicks tests positive for coronavirus. Sources say. CNN, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Woo. No comment. No comment. Thank you, Dominican Vegan Boy. Moving on. Oh, here's an Why should we worry about vote count? We know about gerrymandering and the new Supreme. Freaking Instagram with this cutoff. Here's a perfect example. There's a limit to how long your question can be on an IG live based on what I can see as the host, but they don't signal that to the people submitting the questions. How hard is that? You figured out how to get inside my deepest desires and give me ads for things that I haven't yet dreamed of, and you can't tell people the character limit when they're submit. That's so exhausting. For geniuses, this is real stupid. So I don't know the rest of Stacy's question. I'm sorry, but get your shit together, Instagram. My goodness, it's lazy. What are you doing over there? Why should we worry about vote count? We know about gerrymandering. I will try to pick up, and Stacy, if you're still here, if you just want to type it in the comments, I'll try to find it. But, there is a concern about vote counting in terms of getting your stuff in on time and what these deadlines should be. When We All Vote is a great resource for all this. Michelle Obama's behind it. If there's one American we can trust, it's Michelle Obama. So, they have a resource per state with the deadlines and how you can, in some cases, track your ballot if you're doing the by mail thing, or vote early if you are able to do that, or drop it in a Dropbox if you can do that. Our democracy's a mess. I'm sorry. It's a series of federalized experiments and independent petri dishes where we learn from the. Anyway, it's a hot mess. And so I trust Michelle Obama. When We All Vote has answers to some of these questions. Vote early and try to check your stuff. I think there is a challenge with vote by mail in terms of making sure that you sign it the right way. And just this country makes it all friggin' obvious. Not obvious. Whatever the opposite of obvious is. Confusing as hell. Makes it confusing as hell. So there's, signature verification procedures. I just got this tip from, I don't know what state this is. This is a request. Here's my request. Somebody needs to build a tool. If only there were a highly resourced technology platform that literally everybody used that could break down the nuances and complexities of voting by state, because there's 50 different ways to do this nonsense, and make it easy. Like I'm talking about waiting in line at U.S. Customs and there's a video telling you to put your bag on the conveyor belt, because otherwise, what would you do with your bag? I don't know. I might drag it on the floor with my teeth if I didn't have that helpful PSA from the TSA. So we need that. We need distraction proof, idiot proof, confusion proof, because there's a lot of stuff coming at us right now, including Nazis. We need something that's just press play, watch this video. Here's how you can vote. And if you're going to vote by mail, here's what it should look like. Here's where you need to sign. Here's what you need to verify before you put that joint in the mail. And that's 50 videos? Maybe it's 2 videos per state. Who has the capacity to make 100 videos? Can you think of anybody with that sort of reach or resource? 100 videos. Do it. Somebody should just do that. Because I am exhausted trying to figure this out. And where do I point people? And do you go to vote.org and what do they tell you? And then Michelle Obama's great, but there's no videos. And it's words on a screen. That involves reading. And Americans, we don't do words the way Canada and the UK and New Zealand do. Maybe there you could put it in writing. But we need it in finger paint. So if somebody makes some nice, large print, high contrast, color cartoon videos about how to vote effectively in this election. And free Xbox. Just put whatever bells and whistles we need to watch through the end. Promise that people will get verified on their social media 48 seconds in. And if you get to a minute 20, people will like your YouTube. I don't know. But we gotta make it real attractive. For, you know what? Nah, that's too dark. I edited myself in real time. That's not cool, Baratunde. Don't say that. So I got this tip, from one state. If you returned your vote by mail ballot without signing the return envelope, we'll mail you a document called the unsigned ballot statement asking for your signature. Your signature is required to verify your identity and process the ballot, but you have up to 28 days after the election day to return the statement for your ballot to be processed. So now I'm like, oh, I have 28 days to vote? So just make the stupid video and just get it done. And if like Google and the other one, it's just the stupid. If Google and Facebook and I don't know, Twitch maybe, Amazon, if those three just colluded for democracy, like you, oh, I got it. You can't check out your Amazon cart until you watch this how to vote video. Ooh, we be the most voting people in the world. You gonna hold my goods hostage? No Instacart, no Grubhub. The deliveries just pause. That will cover a huge chunk of the population. And then what's another one? You couldn't see how many people liked your social media posts unless you get this voter education thing sorted out. And also wear a damn mask. And that would be good for everybody. It's a collective health initiative. All right, we're almost done here. I've gotten through so much time. Let's see. Christy Wegs, do you think Trump will go to prison if he loses the election? I hope so. It's his natural habitat, actually. You know, there's some people, I lived in New York for a long time. Some people get to New York, they're like, I was meant to live in this city. I feel like my spirit was born here. I feel that is prison for the current president. I feel like he gets to prison and his soul is just like, this is where we belong. Oh my goodness. We spent our whole lives trying to avoid this. This is our designated happy place. It's like his spirit animal, prison. So I really hope so. I think that may explain some of his really ridiculous behavior of late. I mean, it's a whole lifetime of ridiculous behavior, but even on that foundation of ridiculousness, this is ridiculous. So I suspect because of the revelations that came, we ain't even talk about the taxes. How did we do this? How are you kidding me? Y'all let me do that. Y'all let me get an hour in and I didn't get to talk about the taxes. It's like the 10th story. That feels like 12 years ago that the New York Times got access to the president's taxes and did a huge investigation with all sorts of implications and facts, meaning. It's just, yeah. So $750. It's a nice round number. Nice round number. For a tax bill. For a billionaire. I don't really need to say anything about that. But it brings me back to prison, which is a more joyful conversation for me to be having with respect to the current criminal mastermind. That's generous. Let's just go with criminal. Let's just go with criminal. Big time crime boss. Mastermind is too complimentary. Yeah, I hope he does. And there's definitely crimes there, but it just depends. And we're not there yet. I think the odds are also high that a lot of good people could go in prison if he has his way. That seems to be what happens. You know, Michael Cohen's not like a good person overall, whatever, because he made his life choices. But that he's in prison and the president's not, that Michael Flynn went, that the president's not, that Paul Manafort went, that the president's not, that Roger Stone went, the president's not. Like, yeah, I think if I somehow lived such a horrible life that I was in the president's shoes, I might be acting the fool too. Like, can I try to empathize with a demon? If I was a demon, I'd be doing demonic shit. Like, demon's gonna do what a demon's gonna do, right? What can you do? Demon on. Like, I can't be surprised by his behavior. I can be disappointed, I can be sad, I can be enraged, I can be afraid, but I cannot be surprised. This is all very reasonable from the perspective of a demon spawn. So, yeah, if I had done the dirt that he did and it looked like I might not continue to be able to get away with it, I might do anything it took to avoid the consequences of my actions, especially considering I've literally never had to pay for the consequences of my actions at all. Like in my whole old man life, from giving kids wedgies to the sexual assaults to the tax dodging to the not paying people to the philandering to the bad parenting to the losing other people's money. Like, it's a long list of people you done crossed. And everybody's willing to kiss your butt when you got power. And they'll let that slide because it's in their interest to align with your power. But when you don't have it anymore, they turn pretty quick. In fact, it's a lesson I learned from a wonderful little show called Ted Lasso. I'm definitely watching that tonight. Okay. Oh yeah, draft dodging. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think we're done. I'm not following any sports. Sorry, I have no thoughts on the sports activities that are happening in the country. I'm not working on another book right now. Thank you for asking. I'm thinking about it, always thinking about it, not actively writing anything. My hopes and expectations for the next debate, we don't have one. I would literally love if we just didn't have it. I don't need it. And I think there's other ways to get educated about what each of these people will do, like what they've already done. And unless you're going to do the next debate in Zoom and give the moderator host capabilities so they can mute a fool, we're not engaged in anything productive. It's the current dude, the current president, breaks every rule all the time. Breaks every rule all the time. So why do you think he's not going to break your debate rules? We still, even though we know, we don't learn. Because if we learn, we would change the behavior. And in the press, you know, people give him a lot of flack. It's a hard job. And I respect the people who are in that field. But how you going to think that you can shush this president? Oh, Mr. President, would you please? I'm appealing to your sense of decency. He a demon. He don't have no decency. He's not literally a demon, but he's definitely indecent. So why are you expecting things he's shown himself to be incapable of? Maybe he'll be presidential on day, 1,000? No, of course he won't. You gotta know you're going into a debate with a rabid simian who loves to throw feces and yell profanities. How you gonna prepare for that? With a cage and a taser. If you give me a taser and a mute button, I'll moderate the hell out of the next debate. It'll be the greatest debate. Yo, because I as soon as he goes, zap him. He always wanting law enforcement to use all this force. Let's subject him to his own rule. Yeah. What would he say? Don't go too easy on him. Yeah, don't go too easy. You got it, Mr. President. Light him up. He talked over his time, buzzer, and it literally buzzes him. That'd be an amazing thing to watch. Shut him up real fast. But we don't live in that world. So if they do not have a kill switch on his microphone, then they are still playing games. And they're doing all of us a disservice. You cannot pretend anymore that this dude gives a damn. He breaks it. Why did the rule breaker break rules? I don't get it. Hey, can you tell me? There's this guy, he always breaks every rule. But why did he break my rule? I don't understand. I'm a big dum-dum. Can you break it down for me in finger paint? So it was Canada and New Zealand and United Kingdom. They speak English. I speak English. They were very compassionate in those emails. So I might have to send some follow-up messages tonight. Will you be my Instagram friend, Canada? How do you befriend a nation? All right. Oh, wow. Phone call. Got to go soon. Okay. What are we at? Oh, we're over time. This is it. I was doing the last scan. That's what we were doing, the last scan. If this is a good final question, Shadow Fresh. If he wins, what happens for you? That was, I read that question. That is not a good last question. That is depressing. Exhaustion, fatigue, wall punching. Big, I don't know. I don't actually want to contemplate that. I want to create the world where that doesn't happen. And it's definitely, here's the most honest thing I could say. if he wins, I am not in the most danger. Yeah, that's it. That's the closing. That's the closing argument. 4 years ago, we had a bunch of people who were okay with electing this person because they didn't like Hillary Clinton, because they were curious. They were dictator curious. I'm just kind of fascio curious. And maybe he'll be great. Maybe he'll become a president magically. Maybe he'll live up to his promises and increase my wages. Maybe he'll make America great again. And that's not happening. In some rhetoric, it is. He's done something with China that someone needed to do. I acknowledge that. I'm willing to acknowledge that. I don't like the style, and I don't think it's sustainable, but China has been cheating a lot on a lot of things in terms of international behavior. So, but that's a small item on a long list of promises made and not kept. So people took a chance, and a lot of the people who took that chance could withstand the consequences of that choice. Wasn't a ton of undocumented people who took that chance. Wasn't a ton of black people who took that chance. And to the extent that there were people who took that chance who would also suffer, they got sold a really compelling message. And we now have evidence, So there are people who will be fine. There are people who are going to do better. Billionaires doing better. And I don't want to classify them like a race. I think that we get a little simplistic with the billionaire class. Okay, sure. But you can measure there's a metric for that, and they got more money now than before. And some businesses, a few, have done very, very well. So he's been okay for them. And for the people he hasn't been okay for, well, he didn't kidnap their children. And there's a selfishness to the choice that really offends me. Well, my kids didn't get kidnapped, so okay, so that's a real messed up way of looking at the world. And just imagine if it was your kid. Like, that's how we have to behave and operate. It could be your kid. It could be your kid that gets snatched up. It could be your parent that gets snatched up. It could be your parent that dies of this disease that didn't have to because somebody was acting the fool and saying we should drink bleach and everything's a hoax. Sorry, inject bleach. I don't want to miscategorize his crazy statement. So I've been okay over the past 4 years. Not mentally, it's like exhausting, but like I am physically okay. And I have a business that's still in operation. And I have people who I love who are mostly okay. But there's a lot of people who are dead. Dead is not okay. There's a lot of families that have been ripped to shreds. That is not okay. There are businesses that are never coming back. There are children who've been scarred and bullied and taunted with racial epithets. There's a whole era of meanness that we're living in now, and cruelty and the activation of like the worst drunk frat house behavior that's been made okay. Bullying's been made okay. Remember that we had a whole anti-bullying campaign in this country. Well, that's a wrap. That has nothing to do with the president, and yet everything to do with the president. It's not political, but it's so personal because of the politics. So, for me, I can build some insulation. I could probably type back to my new friend in New Zealand and try to row my boat across the Pacific. I could try that. But that's not a healthy society where people who can afford to opt out do. That's where we're living right now. That's the whole gated community thing. That's the whole 2 Americas or 5 Americas thing. It's real nasty. It's real selfish. It's real ugly. I don't like it. So yeah, if he wins, we all lose, and I acknowledge the possibility, even the probability that something super foul will go down. But I can't just accept that every day or else I won't move. I won't move. So I do this in part to try to encourage people like you, Shadow Fresh, to do more. Everybody here got to do more. You spent an hour with me tonight. Cool. Put an hour into getting the vote out and double checking all your stuff and making those foolproof videos so people understand what their voting methods are. And up and down the ballot, people. up and down the ballot. I'm going to be studying my LA County ballots. There's a lot of measures and propositions and edicts and, whiffs of thought, whatever they call these things. So I got to research like 14 or 37 different things. And that's my duty as a local here. What's yours where you live? Let's just pour all that energy into exercising this stuff as best as possible. And we'll figure out what to do after that. Thank you. Good night. Love y'all. Stay good. Stay good. And now, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because I clearly messed this up the last time. I'm going to actually end this. I need to actually. So watch me now. I'm pressing the finish button on the stream. And here's what I didn't do last time. End broadcast. So to my people on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and the other one. Love you, Periscope. Good night.